But the text tells you that Prithvi Vitasthi, that the body attained to that universal consciousness. Now this, and this is what they call immortal because it is connected with immortal. The text itself says Amritatvaya Gatum. Therefore it is connected with immortality. This gives us a clue that Vedic rishis had already achieved a great deal. Now, great deal means what? And that is a question of precision. According to what I have studied of Sri Aurobindo and the mother said that the Vedic rishis had not completed the task. It was incomplete. And they reached this point where the bodily consciousness could be widened, can be universalized. But according to Sri Aurobindo and the mother, that is not enough. And the evolutionary process does not end there. It's not the culminating point. There is a further point to be done, a further accomplishment to be achieved. And that is where we speak of the novelty of Sri Aurobindo's yoga. What is new in Sri Aurobindo? This is a question which is very often asked. What is new in Sri Aurobindo? Sri Aurobindo is not new in the statement that the reality is Satchidananda. He is not new in saying that Satchidananda manifests in the universe. In fact, Sri Aurobindo has confirmed himself all those experiences, as I said, Ishavasi Upanishad, when you realize that you are in all are in you, and that one becomes all. That experience is actually one of the bases of Sri Aurobindo's yoga. It's not denied. It's not Sri Aurobindo says it's new. It's already realized in the Vedas. As Sri Aurobindo says, loftiest experiences of the spirit are described in the Veda. Then, the question was to bring down the supermind on the earth. And even here, Sri Aurobindo, the mother, agree that the yoga described in the Veda is the yoga of ascent to supermind and of the descent of the supermind. He said yoga of ascent and descent. And Sri Aurobindo's yoga is also called the yoga of ascent and descent. The question was whether supermind can descend in the sense coming down and going up is not descent. Descent is fixing, establishment of the supermind in the physical consciousness. There is a very interesting statement of the mother that when she met Sri Aurobindo for the first time, mother said she had already herself reached the supramental consciousness. At that time she had not known Sri Aurobindo. She came to know Sri Aurobindo on around 29th March 1914. On that day she went to meet Sri Aurobindo, and at that time the mother asked this question to Sri Aurobindo: I see the supermind. Can it come down on the earth? And then mother said, Sri Aurobindo answered, yes. And as soon as he said yes, the supermind began to descend, began to be fixed on the earth. Now, the yoga of Sri Aurobindo, the mother, right from that time, is fixed on this, to fix supermind in the physical consciousness. The Vedic yoga here speaks of widening of the consciousness of the physical being, fixing the supramental consciousness permanently, and to be able to bring about the consequences of that fixing is new in Sri Aurobindo and the mother. And this fixing is a very long and difficult process. And the whole yoga of Sri Aurobindo, the mother, was designed towards that end. The question is, what happens when the body consciousness is permeated by the supramental consciousness? There is a difference between the visit of supermind in the body and permeation of the supermind in the body. The cells of the body get injected by the supramental consciousness, and that will make supermind fixed on the earth. And then, of course, Sri Aurobindo has spoken of the consequences of this supramental fixing in the earth, and he has written several chapters on this subject under the title Supramental Manifestation on the Earth. And he has spoken of the evolution of the body itself. And he said that our human body is not the final term, because this body is not the ultimate, final and best product of evolution. This body itself is subject to disease and sickness of various kinds and disintegration. Therefore, the best, if there is a supreme reality in the world, and if it manifests fully in the body, then the full manifestation of the body would mean a new kind of body. And therefore, Sri Aurobindo has spoken of a divine body. And he has also given some characteristics of the divine body in his chapter on the divine body. Therefore, the question is, why are we here on the earth? What are we supposed to do here on the earth? Our business on the earth is to aid in the process of the uncovering of the light. The whole world is a world at present, as in the Vedas says, tamas is wrapped in tamas. And to uncover that light, by uncovering the tamas, so the light can manifest. And we are here for that task. And that task is not accomplished merely by liberation. According to Sri Aurobindo, liberation of the soul, liberation or moksha is only a state, important state, indispensable state, but after the liberation, much work has to be done. And while commenting on the yoga of the Gita, Sri Aurobindo fixes his attention on the one word in the Bhagavad Gita, sadharmya mukti. That is, the mukti of the Bhagavad Gita also is not the mukti of the ordinary kind. It is sadharmya mukti. That is to say, a mukti not only of the soul, but even in the manifestation in our life activity, our body should have the same dharma as the divine consciousness. If the divine consciousness is Satchidananda, then our body also should manifest. And when the body manifests Satchidananda fully, that is sadharmya mukti. This is Sri Aurobindo's view of the aim that is given in the Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, you might say that the aim that is given, hinted in the Veda, the yoga which has been described more clearly in the Bhagavad Gita, and the yoga and the aim that is in Sri Aurobindo are in harmony. I now take only 5 minutes more to say why Sri Aurobindo considers restoration of the Veda to be so important. According to Sri Aurobindo, the mankind today is passing through a crisis. And he calls this crisis a very special crisis. There are many crises through which mankind has passed, but he calls this crisis to be evolutionary crisis. We are passing through an evolutionary crisis. And what is the meaning of the evolutionary crisis? An evolutionary crisis is a crisis which occurs from time to time when one term of consciousness is to be so developed that a higher level of consciousness not only becomes manifest but becomes fixed. Now, according to Sri Aurobindo, the human cycle has been running for ages and ages. It has come to the end of what he calls a rationalistic curve of human development. The age of reason, according to Sri Aurobindo, has ended. Whatever reason has to find out, discover by its rational powers, it is highest, utmost. It has reached its climax. What reason can do? And it is now, as it were, not able to move forward, and it is thrown back again to its normal groove, where also it cannot stay longer. So it is constantly thrown out of gear, and outside the gear it is not able to stabilize itself. It gets thrown back again into the original gear, where also it cannot remain stable. Now this is where we are today. Therefore Sri Aurobindo says that at this stage we are obliged to realize what exactly is the aim of life, and by what powers that aim of life can be realized. And this discovery of the aim of life was greatly clarified in the Veda. And that is why the recovery of the Veda is so important. But recovery of the Veda is to be in terms of psychological understanding of the Veda. Veda is not basically a book of ritualistic movements. Veda is basically a book of psychological knowledge. And that knowledge is so relevant, so important. And if that knowledge is brought back, and then Sri Aurobindo himself has made new discovery, then that new discovery will find a great demonstration by virtue of the fact that what was done in the Vedic times, although incompletely, by new knowledge which has been discovered by Sri Aurobindo Mother, it has been culminated, and a new consciousness has begun to manifest on the earth. Because of this reason, Sri Aurobindo regards the recovery of the old spiritual knowledge of India to be essential aspect of the new India that has got to be developed. If India has to move forward, it will be able to move forward when this knowledge is recovered. Thank you.
पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। I thank you for accepting our request to come to Jaipur and deliver this lecture series. And in thanking you, I also have a request that you please give us some more time with the different subjects which we were discussing in future. As I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this lecture series, that this lecture series could not have been possible without the help of Hanumanji. I would like to